Picture the scene. Granny's living room, sofa cushions carefully interlocked on the floor. One sibling, maybe two, ready for the beatdown of a lifetime by me, AJ Hazard. We all had our wrestling gimmicks growing up, and mine was better than yours. While most of us grow out of that fondness for dressing up and pretending to be somebody else, it's part of the job description for some of our favourite WWE superstars. Many say a gimmick works best when it's merely the wrestler's real-life personality dialed up to 11. Well, if that's the case for the following forgotten gimmicks, the men portraying them need to have their computers seized and their internet search histories checked immediately. I'm Adam Pacitti from Cultaholic.com, and here are 10 gimmicks you didn't know WWE superstars once had. Join us. Number 10, Luke Gallows as the FREAKIN DEACON. In front of the camera, big baldy Luke is super serious. Behind it, he's well known as a man with a lot of what is known in the trade as bants. And my goodness, would he have needed all of the bants in the world to pull off this character. In a nutshell, the FREAKIN DEACON appeared in Deep South Wrestling and was a madman who spoke to his pet spider, Willow, all while having Dame Edna Everidge's spectacles painted on his face and his receding hair spiked in the most unconvincing manner. If you saw this thing walking down the street, you'd hide behind your mother, even if you're fully grown. Looking at this thing, you'd probably say the less said about it the better. But it turns out the FREAKIN DEACON was involved in a storyline with Bill DeMott of all people, and immediately preceded Gallows' time in the WWE as Fake Kane. The only way is up. Number 9, Dolph Ziggler in the Frat Pack. Given that Dolph Ziggler's sole purpose in life in recent times has been to lambast those with a gimmick and or catchy entrance theme, of course we're going to include him in this list, because outing hypocrites is a wonderful thing to do. There's no doubt that you thought a cheerleader's costume and the outfit belonging to a golf caddy for a racist were the only skeletons in Dolph's closet. Well, there's more. And I don't mean his Colonel Sanders getup, which I hear Dolph still wears most Sundays, the little minx. No, upon being sent back down to developmental in that crate, Nicky, as he was known back then, and Mikey formed a tag team either known as the Frat Boys or the Frat Pack. The internet isn't quite sure. Whatever they were called, there's very little evidence of their existence, with one dark match in OVW followed by a smattering of bouts in FCW being all they've got to show for what I'm sure was one hell of a gimmick. Probably the best ever in the history of this fine sport. Number 8, Kassius Ohno as the wife beater. It's fair to say NXT's Kassius Ohno was playing it a bit too fine with his first pro wrestling gimmick. When you first hear of a wrestler called the wife beater, your mind immediately wanders to some jabroni using violence against women as a cheap way to garner heat from a crowd. Not a young 18-year-old Chris Hero who just enjoyed wearing sleeveless garments with his friends at basketball games and the like. He even came out to smack my bitch up by the Prodigy, bless his little heart. As you know, I'm all about fun, so here's a fun fact. In May 1999, the wife beater was put on a show. The promoter put up a poster with his name on it, which caught the attention of several women's groups who picketed the show in a story that was even featured on Politically Incorrect with Bill Maher. Who would have thunk it, eh? Here's another fun fact. Kassius Ohno wasn't the wife beater who appeared in CZW. That was a completely different man who went by wife beater. One word, the hipster. I spoil you with all this fun. Number 7, Macho Man Randy Savage as the Spider. And here's you thinking Macho Man's only connection to things with 8 legs was his appearance in Spider-Man as Bonesaw, and his love of orgies. Well, they do call him Randy. Savage broke into the wrestling business during the winter of 1973 and was handed this humdinger of a gimmick to start with. It's a wonder he made it any further. It's said that this gimmick was supposed to resemble Spider-Man, but upon closer inspection, it looks more like his mother, who was presumably blind and had octopuses for hands, made him a luchador costume for Halloween. You may put this gimmick down to madness happening before the madness was actually a part of Randy's makeup, but the shoddy costume came with good reason. He was using it to conceal his identity, since wrestling violated his baseball contract. The little swine. Number 6, The Undertaker as the Master of Pain. Before he became a dead man with a mortician for a father, The Undertaker as the Master of Pain killed 2 men and spent 5 years in the Atlanta State Penitentiary. It's not as bad as it sounds though, honest. The Master of Pain was jumped by 2 punks who forced him to murder them both. Come on now, we've all done it. But seriously, 5 years for 2 murders? I don't care if it was an accident or an act of self-defense. The Mop, not to be confused with Moppy, got off lighter than Mark Calloway's hair color without the use of boot polish in 2017. Mark Calloway won his first professional wrestling championship as the Master of Pain when he defeated Jerry Lawler for the USWA Unified World Heavyweight Championship on April Fool's Day 1989, before dropping it back to the King 24 days later. We all have to start somewhere, I guess. Number 5, Bray Wyatt as Axel Mulligan. Husky Harris, clap, 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 clap. Even your dad and his massive bag of Avon knows that Bray Wyatt hasn't always been Bray Wyatt. And the reason he is the spooky Bray Wyatt these days is because he's haunted by the ghost of Gimmicks past. As well as being tracked by the Husky, Bray is undoubtedly being spooked by another phoenix from the flames in the form of Axel Mulligan. A quirky fellow who was nothing more than tattered clothes, a Jason Voorhees hockey mask, and Jerry Lynn's old WWE theme. Wyatt was crammed into this package after being written off of television by a Randy Orton punt. But hey, he bounced back and became one of the more captivating characters in recent times, before becoming nothing more than noise and giggles. Number 4, Neville as Jungle Pac. You've probably heard of Pac. He was a sensation on the independent scene the world over before he signed with WWE in 2012 and became Adrian Neville, who won NXT Tag Team Championship Gold twice, the NXT Tag Team Tournament, and the NXT Championship, before he forgot his first name, got a cape, shattered his leg, turned heel, won the Cruiserweight Championship twice, and took his ball home to Bonnie Newcastle. Just before all that though, in a little-known Italian promotion called New Wrestling Evolution, Pac all of a sudden became Jungle Pac, which essentially saw Geordie Nev build from the jungle and wear a loincloth over his customary tights. That's all there is to it, really. He came from the jungle for a bit. He could still do all the impressive moves. I guess some monkey or Mufasa must have put him through his paces at wrestling school high up in a tree or something. Number 3, The Rock as Flex Kavana. His name was Flex Kavana. Flex Kavana. The Rock's name was Flex once upon a time. I guess being named after solid mineral material doesn't seem all too silly now, does it? Flex Kavana wrestled for Jerry Lawler's United States Wrestling Association and won the USWA World Tag Team Championship twice with Bart Sawyer in the summer of 1996. Who cares? His first name was Flex. But hey, sometimes you have to do things you don't want to do in order to further yourself, as the Flex Express himself explained on Instagram 20 years later. I just drove my truck up from Miami to Memphis, had no bank account to my name, just carried cash, and luckily found a very nice elderly couple living in a house on Union Avenue who was willing to rent out a room to me. I was 23 years old, making $40 a match, and no clue of the long journey that lay ahead of me. God bless you, Flex Kavana. Number 2, Cesaro as a Swiss investment banker. Cesaro has struggled with gimmicks over the course of his career in the WWE. He's gone from a yodeling rugby player to a king of swing to a real American to a headphone enthusiast to a gigolo and a Swiss Superman before finally setting on being a Swiss cyborg with very short teeth alongside a ginger mohawk-wielding Mighty Boosh fanatic. However, this persistent case of the bad gimmicks wasn't just reserved for the big time, as he was a member of a team of wealthy Swiss investment bankers who occasionally wrestled as a hobby. I don't really get why wrestlers are often some other profession first and foremost as well as being a wrestler. Why can't they just be a wrestler? Are they ashamed? I'm looking at you, Duke the Dumpster Drosy. Anyway, Cesaro and his partner Aries became a team with a bit of a reputation for being bloody good, despite the shackles of their gimmick. Swiss Money Holding even appeared in America before Cesaro left the team to join another team and became one of the kings of wrestling, in a move that is directly comparable to leaving Name Redacted and joining Cultaholic. You love it. Number 1, Dean Ambrose as a British man. Remember Hayde Vanson, the British bloke who was supposed to be in for a feud with The Undertaker before WWE aired a vignette on SmackDown and miraculously forgot he existed? No? Shame on you. Dean Ambrose helped this man get that vignette by teaming with him in Puerto Rico and adopting the motherland with all the hope and glory as his own. That's right, Dean Ambrose played the part of a Brit during the early stages of his career and even had the Union Jack on the arse of his tights. Patriotism is a beautiful thing. Ambrose, known as John Moxley back then, and Vanson were the team known as the British Militia. This is an interesting name for a wrestling tag team because a quick Google search will tell you the Militia of Great Britain were the principal military reserve forces of the Kingdom of Great Britain during the 18th century. Knowledge is power. Anyway, Vanson and Moxley appeared in IWA Puerto Rico during the autumn of 2006, and even became tag champs down there for 69 days. A quite appropriate reign for a man like Moxley, who is widely known as a, dramatic pause, titty master. I've been Adam Pacitti from Cultaholic.com, and that was our list. Do you agree? Let us know in the comments down below, and don't forget, join us.